Welcome to Master Manual, a practical guide for DMs, GMs, and just wanna BMs, as well as other folks. This is the podcast where we talk about and answer questions regarding Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, as well as other role-playing games, mostly from a DM's perspective. I'm Spencer Crittenden, and I'm sitting here with my buddy.
Hey, I'm Cohen Edenfield. I'm also here.
Sorry for putting the stank on just the part where I was introducing you and making that weird.
No, it's okay. I've come to expect it.
Oh yeah, come to expect the unexpected, and you'll never be unexpecting.
You know, I can't argue with that.
I'm trying to in my head, which is good for a podcast. What have you been doing?
We went to let's see. What have I been doing?
If you expect the unexpected and then the expected happens, are you expecting that as that's an unexpected result of when you're expecting the unexpected in the first place, or is that an unexpected result?
I think we reach the edge of sometimes we reach the edge of limits that we have set by our own linguistics, and we think we found a flaw in the universe when really we're just pushing up against underlying logical barriers that we put up.
Do you see all those numbers streaming out of midair?
Yeah, that's
Is
God.
that a rift?
That's God.
Oh, God. Anyway, let's move past that. Sorry, I interrupted you after you were answering the question I asked you.
Well, let's see. Kate and I went down to Long Beach Comic Con.
LBCC.
Yeah, it was
not the community college.
No, not Long Beach Community. Long Beach Comic Con, and we were there. And if you came to say hi, I assume that you got too shy because that didn't really happen. A couple people said hey to me.
Great podcast, they said, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, big. They had a thumbs up from like they got ready from several hundred feet away, and then I glanced up and I saw somebody approaching me with a thumbs up, and their eyes just bored straight into me, and I kept glancing up, and they were coming, and they just walked past, said great podcast, and then without breaking stride, but pivoted to walk. Now they're walking backwards, still a thumbs up, walked out of the con, didn't buy anything.
Whoa. So if that was you, kind of thanks?
Yeah, no, you see, it was certainly an interesting experience. I've been prepping for this one shot I'm going to run this evening. Very exciting.
Right.
Yeah. Everybody's going to love it.
It's a one shot?
Yeah. It's the one where my character is running the campaign, is playing in universe.
What about a One Piece one shot? Not for your thing. I'm just pitching it.
It's too late to do that.
I'm not for your thing. I'm just pitching it.
No, I can't do that for my thing. It's too late.
So let me just put this out there. What about a One Piece one shot?
It would be hard because it's been going for 20 years.
Yeah. I think you told me this on this very podcast, but it blew my mind the idea that when someone with the demon fruit dies or whatever, then another fruit turns into a demon fruit spontaneously. That's fucking badass world building, I thought.
Yeah, and that's how somebody they can get a power that they didn't have.
Yeah.
They can get it later.
I love it.
all the devil fruits. And the fruit looks the same. So there's an encyclopedia that has if you it says this is what this fruit looks like.
Right.
And if you get this one, it has this power, which is how they explain the fact that certain people have hunted down specific fruits and gotten them because they wanted specific powers.
That makes sense.
Because you only get one.
Everybody gets one. Well, not everybody.
If you try to eat if you eat a second one and you've already gotten your power, it kills you.
That's fair.
Yeah, it's come on, man, you already got your power.
Other conventions. Have you been into other off-kilter conventions that weren't SDCC or whatever?
Not this week.
No, just in life.
Topatacon a few years ago. It was Topatico. They had a con a few years ago. It's actually where I met Kate.
Was it cool?
It was a great con, and I made a terrible impression on everyone because I had been up for 2 days when the con started.
Damn. And
I was still drinking. And my phone was dead, and there were spiders everywhere.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's true, including the spiders part. They weren't my fault. But tell that to some people who definitely held me responsible. It's all right.
I like the idea that you have a stigma associated with you, like that guy. He's always spreading spiders.
I mean, it kind of was held responsible. It didn't really. So like we all like I was in a hotel room with some people I was meeting for the first time, and I like pointed out that there was a spider on the wall, and then like I'm like, wow, there's a lot of spiders in here actually, and it was like a suite style hotel room, and like I like pulled back the curtain, and the entire window was covered in spiders and spider webs.
Oh god!
And then we like later like went outside and like looked, and like from the bottom, we were in the top corner of the hotel, like top floor on the corner. That entire part of the hotel was covered in spider webs that were like it was just a super nest, like a mega colony of spiders that had infested this entire room and the roof. And anyway, we went to a different hotel.
Well, when you actually lay it out there, it does seem like it's kind of on you.
Well, I guess you certainly killed the messenger. And it also didn't help that I was so tired that I wasn't really freaked out by the spiders as much as anyone else. And I was kind of, at one point, I may have suggested that we all just go to sleep and deal with it in the morning.
Well, that can be alarming. But I that's also just a level of triage, because like when you open a wall and the entire wall is spiders, that's no longer spiders. That's now like a phenomenon, like a force in your life.
Yeah,
that's like okay,
look, it's spiders now.
Yeah, it's like the world is spiders. I'm gonna get some sleep.
Yeah, I certainly can't. I guess like we might have all been bitten several times, but it's, you know what? They had been in the room for hours before.
Oh, your phone's ringing.
Oh, yes. It's angry credit card companies.
They love it.
They had been in the room for hours before.
We should ask them on the podcast.
Yeah, it's like, hey, yeah, Capital One. Why
you're being recorded?
What do you think? What do you think? Did I fail my deception check on not recognizing your phone number? It's fun. Anyway,
I got a spider story. So, I was dating a girl, and we were camping, and there's this paddle boat that we wanted to take out on the lake, and we flipped it out, and there was like a spider or two inside of it. We got the spiders out, and we went on the lake, and we paddled out onto the lake. And so we were out on the lake, and she's apparently really afraid of spiders. And so we see a spider crawling on the boat, and I was like, shit, man, I just got rid of all the spiders. And she's freaking out. And it's like, yeah, it's scary, but you know what's really scary is falling into a river and having all your stuff get potentially destroyed.
Like your phone and wallet.
Yeah, because you're afraid of insects. Not insects, arachnids. And also, it's fine to be afraid of spiders. Don't get me wrong. It's also just, it's like triage. It's like I said,
we have to get out off the river first.
This is now a force we're dealing with.
Yeah.
We can't freak out. We can't panic. And so I tried to, get rid of the spider, and then just spiders.
just everywhere.
The boat is spiders now.
That's how it feels sometimes. It's like sometimes it do be like that.
There was 40 or 50 spiders, and like I'm seeing them, and I'm not even saying anything because she's freaking out about the one spider, and it's like, well, I can't let her know that the boat's spiders.
Yeah, this is actually just.
Let's get to the shore.
This was a new project by like the spider community to build a boat out of themselves as a sort of mega trap. Like
they had a great city going on. They had an upturned boat in the woods. They were loving it. This was like fucking Spiderville until we came to town. But so we did the right thing. We put the boat back in the river and we lit it on fire.
Yeah.
So it was
there
great.
You go. That's what you got to do sometimes.
That's what you got to do.
So what do we have to do? What are we here to do? We're here to answer. It's the first part of season 2 finale.
Oh, yeah.
And based on the format we have established, that means this episode is going to be all questions.
Right. All questions. If you have ideas on how we should cap off the season, let us know. Maybe someday we'll do a bracket.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Who had the best ideas?
No, I meant like
maybe it was you.
If all the animals fought each other or something,
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. Or like we could do a revisit of the animals and be all like, oh man, remember the centacorn or whatever? What if that guy was on Mars now?
The
Centarnivore. There you go.
Yeah, I love that dude.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like it could be cool to just revisit some things. I don't know. All this schlocky filler stuff like TV does.
I have described the Centarnivore to a couple of people since that episode who do not listen to the podcast, and just the degree of discomfort on their face when I described a centaur with a horse's head instead of a human head. People get really upset at that concept.
I think centaurs are already upsetting, but we've just kind of dealt with it as a society. And then you kind of, I don't know, because since that episode, I too have just been thinking like, I pulled my car over to draw a picture of like an A to C diagram going like human to centaur and then horse to centaur and then like human to like what a horse centaur should be, which like I couldn't figure it out, but it's like I think it's a horse. We talked about it, but it's like a horse head on someone's legs. But I can't,
just on some legs.
Yeah, because a centaur head is a human head, a centaur upper body is a human body, a centaur legs is an entire lower body of a horse.
It's not even the lower body. It's the entire. Yeah, it's everything but the head.
A horse head is the entire upper body. A horse head and neck actually is the entire upper body of a centaur, and then a horse's lower. Yeah, I don't know. It's just
it would
weird
have to be
about.
a human's. It would have to be a horse's front legs and head and chest area coming out of a human's neck, dragging the human body behind.
Right. And that's what I mean. It's like you start to actually think about trying to do the math of this all. It really gets fucked up very fast.
I think that definitely the way that a centaur came is somebody was trying to combine a horse and a human, and I think they probably started with like horse with just a human head, and they were like, that looks stupid.
Right.
And then they're like, well, maybe arms too. It's like still dumb, and they just kept adding until they got to a place where they were happy.
That makes sense. I've heard this theory that I didn't like at first, and now I like it, that the reason dragons are a cultural universal is just because they're the ultimate chimeric creature. Maybe you told me that. I can't remember.
That was not me. No.
But and I was thinking about it, and I was like, well, that doesn't make sense. But the more I think, like, because the rough form of a dragon is similar to like a horse or like a bipedal large beast, but then just like bedecked with scales. Like I don't know. It's interesting to think about. It has like a vaguely serpentine, but also a horse-like head. But then generally the jaws are what have kind of like a lion, tiger, beast, carnivore kind of jaws, and then the eyes are often like usually cat eyes specifically. But just like so like they're kind of like all the scary parts of all the animals that anyone has ever feared, from snakes to spiders, and a lot of dragons are associated with poison a lot of times and not fire breathing. And I think that, again, just gets back to our natural fear of real animals.
If you think about it, that makes more sense for a reptile.
Right.
Like for a snake, is that it would be poisonous, not...
Exactly.
That's why we have black dragons in Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, and then apparently
they love swamps.
Greek fire, like the real world chemical, which was, I don't know, like napalm or something, that was associated with dragon artifacts. And I think that's what set the link between dragons and fire breathing. Before that, they were just lizards. So interesting.
Problem solved.
Yeah, they used to be poison lizards, I guess. That's probably completely wrong. Write us and let us know. But do you want to answer any questions?
Yeah, speaking of people writing, all right, we have a question from Patrick Carr, that Patrick Carr on Twitter.
Ooh.
What stat generation do you prefer for 5e? Do you like point buy or roll or what?
Have you ever used point buy?
Nope, I don't like it.
How do you do what do you roll?
I do the standard set of scores, baby.
List that off in case it's less standard than people think.
I think you get a 15, 14, 13, 12, 10, 8 maybe?
Right. So
or
it's
12, 11, 10?
There are
12, 10, 8
already rolled.
Yeah, so it's six numbers, and you get to apply those to your stats as needed. The cool thing about this is I think point buy is probably like if you're an expert, I'm sure that point buy is something that's great, but I often am playing with new players, and having these numbers is great. Having these because you can help them. You can be like, okay, this is your best stat, and these are your two most important stats. So they know to put those two numbers there. It's like, and this is the one that's kind of the least important for you, which is usually like not difficult to figure out, because it can be either a character-driven thing or it can be like a role-playing thing.
Yeah.
It can be like, because sometimes people want to have a character with like negative charisma for fun or like negative intelligence. But I feel like rolling is just it's fine. It's just I had a really bad experience with it my first time out the gate, and I am soured on it forever on rolling stats.
Really?
Yeah, because I made a character who the first time I played D&D, I was told we rolled our stats in order, and my character was like, I did the math and it was like,
that was for a monk?
Yeah, for a monk with negative wisdom.
I remember this.
And I didn't know enough and I was not helped. And is why I'm very helpful in character. Because then I played that character for like 2.5 years, and his AC was like 10.
That's fun.
Yeah.
For a monk.
Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah. So I think let's talk about specifically. That's like I want to say like an old school D&D style is roll your stats in order. I think out of all the styles, rolling your stats in order is by far the most restrictive. I think even when you roll stats, you generally get to pick how they're allocated. It's a big part of how to, in 3.5 at least, you rolled your stats and then you chose where to put them. And that was like the first thing you did, I think, before even choosing a race, if I recall. Maybe that's wrong.
So that's sort of what the standard set of scores attempts to normalize.
Right.
Is basically it's saying if everybody rolled all their stats, and then if you rolled stats like 1,000 times, this is basically what those numbers would average out to. You got one that's sort of spiking kind of high. You don't have none of those numbers spike higher, like super high. Like theoretically, if you're rolling your scores, you could get an 18.
Yeah.
So you don't have an 18, but you could also get a 3.
But I think more than that, it's also they tuned it. I think they tuned this set of skills to feel like you're good at some stuff and not great at others in a way that true randomness doesn't actually get you, because true randomness does get you a character with 3 18s and dump stats, and that's not fun if one character out of the party is awesome.
Yeah, so that's sort of the thing is like, yeah, there was somebody else in my group who had like amazing stats to the point like
right.
when they were leveling up, when we would hit those 4, 8, and 12, like the levels where all you get that level is you get 2 points to add to those numbers. They were like getting to choose cool feats and all this stuff, and it's like
you don't qualify for feats.
No, I was just not qualifying as much as like I had to use those points to try to like raise my negative wisdom, because it was like every single fight I was getting hit all the time. It's the thing is, it's like you can have fun playing a character who's bad, but if everybody else in the group is not, it's a bummer.
But to be clear, I mean, in 3.5 at least, a lot of feats were gated behind scores, and so it wasn't just like you were at a disadvantage. You literally couldn't do the things you wanted your character to do if your stats didn't support it, even if you just wanted to be bad at doing these things. If you wanted to be a clumsy thief, for instance, there was things that you just simply couldn't do, and it's like, well, that seems unfair. I want to be this kind of character. And so, like, I don't know. I think there's less of that now, but
I think there's definitely some like you need at least 13 or whatever in this for some of them, or you need some other thing. But I think a lot of the times a lot of the feats now are like some kind of flair or flavor that can sort of mechanically change the way you like.
Right.
Oh, if your thing is that you always like to target the spellcaster, there's a feat that is specifically geared towards giving you an advantage to attacking spellcasters. Or it's if you there's one for like making you a better sharpshooter, and you get to pick up a couple extra little sharpshooting thing. Yeah, that one's really fun.
Hell yeah. Yeah. So just from my experience as a DM, I traditionally did roll 7 sets of 4d6, discard the lowest die of the 4d6, and discard the lowest score out of all of them. That made people very overpowered. So my experience, as a DM is with characters that generally have a lowest score of 10, a lot of 11s and 12s, very few negative modifiers. it was very fine. Also, a lot of the characters felt very similar. A lot of people just kind of felt like they were doing the same things. No, everyone wanted to try everything at any time. It wasn't a huge problem. I was a younger person playing with younger people. It didn't cause a lot of problems. I would say there's a lot of opportunity for me to make people feel special as a DM that I lost by not doing that. I think that the standard array, it's really, I mean, it builds in weaknesses. You want characters to have strengths and weaknesses. I mean, you want to be a perfect man, or whatever. But like in real life, it's more compelling to have weaknesses and flaws, and it's hard to bite that bullet, especially if you're a kid wanting to be a magic wizard, but
who also has a
ultimately,
cool sword and can also pick up a bow and
right.
It's I think video games, like definitely Skyrim, if you're coming into playing D&D from playing Skyrim, where anything you want to do you can eventually be perfect at, D&D is not a game that, like, your stats, you don't get like, even if you get to level 20, your stats are going to be what your stats are. That's when you stop getting more stat points.
If you want to be strong, you better find a belt of giant strength or something.
Yeah, and even then, like, you're contingent upon the. Yeah, it's not a game that is going to allow you to get a 20, have a 20 in every stat, because that would make the game more meaningless.
The roles aren't important at that point. And I've played high level campaigns, and that was also the case. It was very stupid. You either critical failed, or you basically did whatever you want, unless you were trying to balance on a cloud, which was possible.
What a game!
Yeah. So yeah, here, you want me to pull a question?
Yeah, you pull a question.
Let's see.
Why don't you start pull a question, pulling your weight?
Hell yeah. Running Chris Estrada, and something interesting has come up regarding, this is some sent from V Satchdev. Something interesting has come up regarding multiple types of lycanthropes that exist in Barovia, which is where Chris Estrada takes place, I guess. The rules as written mechanic for lycanthropy leaves something to be desired. How do you deal with lycanthropy mechanics? More specifically, is it possible for a character to be afflicted with multiple types of lycanthropy? Any ideas how to make that work? In my case, a character's been bitten by a werewolf and a were-raven. Cheers, Vib.
I think that there should be a psychic duel within their body where the raven fights the wolf.
Right. Like, it feels like the two, because they're curses, right? I mean, let's talk about the world building. Obviously, there's different ways to do it. You could say it's like truly biological, but what lycanthropy is a magical curse, right?
Yeah. And then you turn into one of these things, like a bestial man raven or a she wolf.
Is it a nature curse, you think, or is it like a wizard made it, or a demon curse?
I think it's it can be hard to tell in this world where one ends and the other begins. But if I had a character who was bitten by a werewolf, bitten by a were-raven, I would make them play that out as a duel that happens for their very soul between a big raven and a big wolf.
Yeah. So I think, it's like, especially because they're magical curses, it's like these evil animating spirits of these bestial urges or manifest as some sort of force that are duking it out. And I don't think that you'd have one or the other. I think one would inhibit the other, or one would stop the other, or one would kill the other, or whatever. Yeah. But I think, like you said,
you as the DM roll for which, roll behind your screen, odd the raven wins, even the wolf wins, and then you describe a dream in which, like, they one night they have a dream in which, like, if a raven and a wolf are fighting, and the raven pecks out the wolf's eyes and consumes its liver or whatever, and it's like, as you awake, that you feel that you're, or the next time they just fucking turn into a were-raven instead of a werewolf.
So I have the perfect addition.
Let's
just sit in how perfect this is going to be.
Oh man, I'm so ready.
No, so I've been reading Dungeon of the Mad Mage. There's a level where there's Nagas, and
Nagas are snake people.
Yeah, and Yuan Ti, who are also snake people.
Ah, yes, good.
And you come upon a site where an ancient battle between powerful forces has taken place, and it manifests as a hallucination or an illusion on this island. So you see this battle taking place on this island from spectral people, and if you get close enough, it sucks you into the battle in a very interesting way. What it does is it changes your stats to the stats of the participants in the battle. You become a Yuan-Ti soldier. And I think the monster saves the other monster, but I think one of the characters might turn into the other thing. And so now you have a completely different stat block. And you're fighting in this thing, and depending on the outcome of this spectral battle, you might take psychic damage, or you might see like your foe laid low or whatever. But the results kind of play out as this premonition was supposed to happen, and then it's over, and then you haven't died or whatever, but you might have, if you failed the trap or whatever, you might take a bit of psychic damage. But it's all just for narrative purposes, and like you could do exactly that. Like you could be like, oh,
like
man,
they pick which one to support.
Yeah.
Kind of.
And then you're like, oh, you feel yourself as a raven, and then there's just wolves surrounding you, and then the rest of your party might be able to be drawn into it too. Maybe they're the wolves, maybe they're on your side or whatever. But it can be like this encounter framed with this kind of rule set.
I like it.
Yeah,
that's dope.
Hell yeah,
that's a good way to handle it.
This was like one of the first questions we ever had. I think so.
Oh shit! Well, you're welcome.
Well, let us know what you did. Let us know how you solved it. That could be interesting. I always, we answer questions, right? But I'm always just more curious about what's going on with the people who are asking the questions. Like, that sounds awesome. I just want to know what you're doing. I don't want to, why are we doing
Let us know what happened.
Yeah. Also, anytime anyone has reached out to us, let us know what's happening. Just give us an update.
Okay. I got a thing. I got one if you're ready. Okay. This is from Rocketman210 on the Discord. In my current game, there's a massive bloat of magical items. Every character of this 8-player game, has almost a full page of minor magic items. Recently, we've started paring down the less used items and keeping better track of them. I and several other players love getting and using magic items because there's a good way to keep the numbers manageable. Well, there's one good way.
Oh, damn.
Here's the thing. It's in the dang old in Dungeon Master's Handbook, and nobody ever uses this.
I think I saw it in the Monster Manual.
It might be in the Monster Manual too. It's definitely on Master Manual. You're only supposed to be able to use like 3 magic items because if they require attunement, your character is only supposed to be able to attune to 3 magic items at a time.
Right.
This is a thing that is largely ignored because people don't read that part. But you're supposed to only be able it's in there specifically to prevent this from happening.
Right.
There's actually a thing. I don't know how they might have to start enforcing this more. People might have to, because there's a character I think it's going to be an Unearthed Arcana this month. The alchemist, it's like an alchemist or whatever character they're bringing. I can't remember what it's called, but it's from
Artificer.
The Artificer, whose whole deal is that they are able to attune to more magical items and create magic items kind of on purpose. And if you have a character whose thing is that they can do more of something, you have to enforce that other characters can't do that. It's kind of, otherwise it sort of undercuts the point of that character.
Classic. Some caveats though. I think once, I don't know, it either takes a day or a long rest or something, but you can reattune your artifacts. So if you had a giant sack of 40 things, you can just swap out every 3 every day. And then also there are magic items.
Well, you could swap out 1.
Something like that.
Because it requires I think it requires like a long rest to attune to something.
Yeah, it requires a long rest, but I think you can change all of your attunements in that long rest. So you can go from 3 to a different 3, I think. But I mean, you can enforce that more stringently if it's causing problems. But then the other thing is not all items have attunement, right?
Yeah.
Like, so there's like magic dust or whatever. I think that's just fair game, right?
Or like a wand of magic missiles or something.
I was surprised by that, because wands to me felt like the exact kind of thing you'd want to require attunement, because if I just had 80 wands, like, what am I doing? It just seems kind of crazy.
I think
obviously don't get 80 wands, but
or in that case, don't have them just take away the recharge.
Right. That's another thing, is wands recharge now. They never used to do that.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
You can definitely, if you want to give your characters some like wands of recharge, wand of lightning bolt, and it regenerates however many charges. You can just make it so it doesn't do that.
Right. Do that anyway. See how it works.
Yeah, I'd be curious, and then you could give them more. I
wonder what items they have. I mean, obviously the problem is don't give them too many items too late.
Yeah. Also, don't play a game with 8 players too late.
Yeah, that seems rough, especially for this exact item problem. You have to have a lot of treasure if you have that many players.
It's the exact problem that comes where it's like people hear you're getting a D&D campaign going, and they want to play, and then their friend wants to play, and then you talk about it at a party, and then 4 people want to play, and then all of a sudden you got 8 people because you don't want to tell anybody they can't play.
Yeah, you don't.
But then you got yourself a problem, which is you got an 8-person campaign and everybody's got 50 fucking magical items because you're too generous. I think you might be too kind, or your DM might be. It wasn't clear from this if you were the DM or not.
Yeah. Any last thoughts?
Maybe like a monster could come and steal a bunch of them.
Rust monster.
Yeah. Or some kind of. Maybe they just come across a thing in a dungeon where it's like some kind of like hideous beast that, or like some kind of thing where they have to sacrifice items on an altar to open some door.
That's
and
cool.
There's some kind of reward in there, like treasure. Like if you're okay with them having like just some gold.
Right. Trading.
Yeah.
Trade the stuff away. What if there's a plot point where there's like, it's causing too much problems. Like it's creating like a magical well for having all these magic items together.
Yeah, maybe some kind of like a magic item attune,
Like a feedback kind of.
Or like some kind of like very powerful monster is like drawn towards this, just all this arcane energy that is just reeking off of these 8 people,
Right.
and they're all their magic items, and they're just hunting you through a tear in the void, or
And it's
something.
Yeah, and that's not an immediate consequence. Haha, get rid of your magic items or die. It would be like you'd be moving in this direction to kind of explore. Oh man, maybe having magic items isn't all it's cracked up to be, or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, specifically 5th edition made the change to be magic items not being as
Right, yeah.
as prevalent because of this exact problem. Did 4th edition have a bunch of magic items?
Oh yeah, that was the strongest. The 4th edition was the only edition where the magic items were in the player's handbook.
Oh yeah, you would just buy them at the store.
You were encouraged to tell your DM what magic items you were hoping to find in a dungeon. Very strange. Contrast again to Dungeon of the Mad Mage. I'm very deep in this book, and you are not finding a lot of crazy magic items. You are finding very utilitarian, very small magic items.
Yeah,
Interesting.
Horde of the Dragon Queen has like 5 at the end.
Right.
That you like. It's at the end. It's like check the appendix for the magic items, and there's literally 5. And like 2 of them are major plot points. They're like masks of Tiamat, and the others, like, it is not guaranteed that you will have gotten these.
Yeah.
Because the simple fact is, it's the same problem. It's the other problem with 4th edition, which is like everybody has 9 different powers they can do, and if you stack like their 5 or 6 different magic items on top of that, you get choice paralysis.
Right. Exactly. It's just you have a billion options. You have a giant menu of options.
Yeah.
It's Cheesecake Factory.
Yeah. It's true. That is the day. God, it was terrifying. I went there for the first time a couple months ago.
And just like Cheesecake Factory, the answer is only looking at one page.
Yeah, that's
Restrict the choices. Restrict the choices.
Part of the ship, part of the crew.
All right. You know what that means. Time for a break. Oh, yeah.
It's a break.
It's a break. Hey, Cohen.
Hey, Spencer.
How often does this happen to you?
What is it?
Oh, yeah. Let me explain. That's a good point. You're drawing all over stuff, the walls, the floor, your mom, all over the stuff. And then when you go to erase it, you can't wipe it off.
I can't.
You can't do it dry. You can't do it wet. There's nothing you can do. It's just stuck there. You can like rub it, sand it with sandpaper, but you're fucking fucked.
Yeah. I do this because I'm drawing with my Sharpie markers.
Oh, yeah.
On the walls, on my own hands. I draw on the tips of. I take a marker and I draw on the tip of the other marker, which makes it very difficult to do the right colors. I've ruined all my products and also everything I own.
Well, not anymore.
It's too late for me, Spencer.
Well, not anymore. Is it not too late? Thanks to Kezerak's dry erase marker.
Kezerak?
Yeah, Kezerak, the ultimate marker. You know him? He loves marking things.
Oh yeah, Kezerak, the marked mage.
The inventor of the arcane mark. He invented an all new kind of marker that you might be excited and surprised to find you can wipe it onto any surface and then wipe it right off, but only you can do it. You can't just let anyone else just wipe off your beautiful marks. It's all up to you.
Are you talking about Kezerak's eye erase markers?
Oh yeah, Kezerak's eye erase marker. Wait. Oh, I got an ink blot on this copy. My bad. Yeah, no, eye erase markers. As in eye erase them.
Only I erase them.
Right. Oh, man. What can you use them for?
You could use them to mark a thing that says "Try to erase this, idiot," or only or only the true king can erase this, and you write it on the king's throne.
Oh yeah, and then you put the marker in a rock.
Yeah, yeah, but then you can come up and smear it away with your hand, and then now you're the true king, and then you have the other man torn apart by his own hounds.
That's an ultimate scheme right there.
That's very fey. That's very elven.
I'm into it. You could mark the days going by since you've been trapped in a magic jar.
Yeah, god damn this magic jar. Let my soul out.
Not until we release 2 more podcasts.
All right.
What else is going on with this marker? It looks cool, right? Look at it.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
It's sparkling.
Oh, yeah. In fact, I think it comes charged with the spell Friends.
And the ink is 100% toxic.
Yeah. Oh, yes. It's very deadly.
Oh, yeah.
And especially when you smear it with your own bare hand.
So don't try that.
No, just, well,
you can, but don't. Because, again, it is toxic. And no one else can because it won't come off, but they will still get poisoned.
They can, if after the first bit kills you, they can erase it with your body.
Right, yeah.
Or detached hand.
That's probably the safest way, yeah, for anyone else to do it. Is they won't have to touch it.
Yeah, or you can, cut off some of your hair and use that. That's how I would solve this puzzle in a dungeon. Because the hair would technically be me, but it wouldn't transmit.
I like that.
Yeah, I'm really good at Dungeons & Dragons. I always win.
Use the promo code Goblin Flakes.
Yeah. Please.
And, wait, what?
I was just saying, please use the promo code.
Say it again?
Please use the promo code Goblin Flakes.
How do you spell it?
Goblin, and then you spell it like Jonathan Frakes, but with an L instead of the R.
GOBLINFLAKES.
You nailed it.
Checkout. Let me take that one more time. You know how the advertisers can get really mad when you don't do the call to action clearly?
Mm-hmm.
GOBLINFLAKES at checkout.
New York City, New York State, 10108. Stickly.
Remember that guy?
Yeah.
That was low budget.
Somebody threw him away. I could probably guess. It's like, how do you break down that production? It's like we just throw his ass away.
Yeah, we'll make another one. That's crazy. Well, yeah, I wonder if someone stole him. And we're back.
See you at the crossroads, Stickly. I sure did enjoy that suite of products.
You know I did as well. It was sweet.
This guy. All right, question time?
Yeah. Do you got one? Do I got one?
Yeah, let's do a couple more.
Who can say?
How do you make this is from Indigo Stitch on Discord. How do you really make the players love an NPC before killing him heroically? Sounds like you have an agenda.
So Dan's story circle, right?
Yeah.
The first part is you. It's not character, it's you.
Mm-hmm.
The idea is if it's a good story, you identify as the protagonist. And one of the easiest ways to do that is to poke them in the eye. Then they're like, ow. And you're like, ow, we just got hurt. Oh, no. So, make the NPC getting fucked. And you're like, oh, I'm compassionate. Not fuck.
Wait a minute. Are you saying, is this why so many stories start off with their protagonist down on their luck?
Oh, yeah.
Like, say you're Sarah Connor, who's working as a waitress. Or you're Luke Skywalker who wants to go off to space.
I want to go to space.
Yeah, I do now because I don't want to be on this stupid sand farm where they grow water.
Right. This guy's got problems. Yeah. I do too. We're the same. What's he going to do? Maybe we'll both become space wizards.
Ash Ketchum overslept and now he doesn't get the Pokemon he wanted.
Oh,
and he has to get this rambunctious twerp of a Pikachu who is impishly ignoring his orders for one episode.
And he's always just one step behind his rival, Gary.
Mm-hmm.
All these things, they serve to stymie the protagonist and make us feel compassionate. We put ourselves in their shoes. So if you want to have someone, attached to an NPC, you want to have the same kind of thing. You want to make them relatable and kind of make yourself feel that you can put yourself in their shoes. And it's like, oh, man, if I were them, I wouldn't want to be in that situation. So I'll help them.
So what you're saying is you're not going to endear your characters to an NPC by having them heroically swing in and save the characters and be awesome all the time and great.
No,
that might actually make the players fucking hate them.
They can heroically swing in and smash into a wall and fall on the ground and then have to be rescued.
I already like this character that you just described.
That's the thing. It's like, because it's truly, and I didn't even think about this until Dan made it explicitly, but it truly is like, it's this empathic, compassionate response to someone getting messed up, which is just like, oh, that could be me. I could be suffering. So let's see how we can avoid this, you know? And that's kind of what locks it in. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah.
What else? Any tips? You have any good notable NPCs?
All mine are very hateable. That's sort of, I like to make a character that the characters hate. That's because I feel like I have an easier time doing that, and then their desire is to destroy them.
The "It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia" technique.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to make a detestable character.
Which I was just thinking, which is why antagonists are so popular and likable for characters, and people like come up with cool villains. It's like, that's not a cool villain. It's a cool character who only works as a villain.
Yeah. Yeah, because like it's easier to hate someone who is succeeding than it is to like someone who is succeeding.
And things that are complicated and broken and don't make sense and maybe fundamentally wrong or doomed to fail are more impressive and interesting than people who are set up for success or fated to succeed. You know,
yeah.
Like as someone who will do something for the right reason. He's going to blow up the world, but because he was, you know, he had a hard childhood. That's like, oh, that's interesting. I don't want him to win, but it's an interesting story.
Yeah. If also I'd say that if you're introducing a character with the plan to kill them heroically and have your characters feel sad, I think you have kind of an uphill battle. Mm-hmm. I think it is maybe better to kind of, I don't know, it's hard because I think players can smell that often.
Yeah,
especially because you're gonna make them very tragic, you know, sort of maybe like Boromir styles. Give them sort of like a nobility for like a past that is, or whatever, or it's just
you'll try too hard
and they'll smell it and they won't care and it'll fall kind of flat and they'll be like, later, I'm glad that guy died.
And also like building on to that, like making things just fuck up and things that go awry, that already feels like not intentional, even if it is. So like you're kind of leaning into that anyway, like into not trying too hard if you are just making them fuck up and kind of goofy or something.
Yeah, like introducing okay.
No, say it. You have to say it now.
I don't like
say
Johnny,
it and then we'll cut it apart.
I don't like Johnny Depp.
Yeah,
but Jack Sparrow is the hero because he sails in on a ship that is already sinking, and then he does some cool stuff, but then is immediately arrested, and then he beats a guy in a sword fight, and then he gets hit on the head with a bottle and knocked out. It's like Will Turner, however, is like theoretically the hero, but is boring because he is from the beginning on a hero's path, and.
They're both likable for different reasons.
Yeah, just Jack Sparrow is the NPC.
Right.
Will Turner is your characters. Mm-hmm. So have somebody show up and help them, but then screw up and they get, you know, that's.
And in some circumstances, it's the opposite, I think, where your characters are the flamboyant ones, and then people are just like, what? You just blew up a boat. I'm just supposed to let you walk off? Like what? You know, and then that can be another, you know, it just depends on what the status dynamic of your characters and their relationship to the world is.
Yeah, have them also care if you can put your characters in a bad situation and have not every sacrifice has to be death.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you can like have somebody who's going to,
especially with magic, get
imprisoned instead of them. It's like, look, you guys are doing your thing and you're clearly pretty, you got your whole thing going, and I'm just a guard who you talked to one time, and look, it's going to be my job if I let you go, but clearly there's some things are bigger than the law, and
right.
I didn't think I would ever believe that, but you're free to go. And do me a favor, hit me on the head so they don't think I let you out.
That's cool. You could also, like, I don't know, you could there's just like you said, sacrifice without death. It's like, it's just, I don't know. I hate that about fiction. There's a lot of things about entertainment and fiction where it's like, let's use the most blatant example of something to set this concept in motion. And often that's like death. And often that's a woman dying. And often that's someone who male cares about, that's a woman dying. And it's like, oh man, he earned winning this story now that a woman died. And it's like, this just it feels really cheap. And I don't know, especially with magic, it's like you could turn someone's arm to stone and then snap it off and run off, and it won't be like gruesomely cutting off someone's arm, but it's like, I need my arm back, you know? It's like there's so many options with magic.
Yeah, there's a lot you can do that's not just killing somebody.
Yeah.
It just...
Love potion.
Yeah, or maybe they get trapped on another plane of existence, or
their soul turns sideways. It's still there. It's just sideways now.
Yeah, or like a dragon captures them, and then you got they
get turned into a dragon.
You can have hooks. The thing is, if you don't kill somebody, you can have hooks for maybe the next stage of the adventure or after the adventure they're on is to help this person.
Right.
And if you've done a good job saving them, then now you have, now there's some motivation. If you get a good job selling them, I mean.
I think a lot of what you do as a DM is you want to dig up hooks. You have your ideas, and then as your people are playing through, you kind of reveal the little hooks, and then they grab onto them. Or, if they're having an interaction, you're like, oh, maybe I can use this as a hook. Or afterwards, when you're done, it's like you're thinking about the stuff you did, and it's like, how can I turn this, and how can I hook this into that? Or like, how can I connect this? And it's just kind of, I don't know, it's just making the most out of what's happening and what you've thought and how you can think to make it better,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Just don't operate from the first principle that your characters are going to care about somebody just because they die. And I know that's why you wrote in. Yeah. You wrote in asking how to make them care about it. But it's kind of leading characters by the nose and being like, care about this character so I can kill them can blow up in your face a little bit.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
It's like there's the attraction principle. It's like if you're like, hey, like me, people are like, I don't like that.
Yeah.
I like people who aren't screaming like me.
Yeah, I mean, it would do better. Maybe have them like it. Pick a character they already like, and sacrifice them in a way that's have them do some kind of sacrifice that maybe isn't their definite death.
Right. All right. Do you want me to go one last question?
Okay. Yeah. Bring it out of the pile.
Oh, well, not that one. Sorry, the person who asked this question. Okay. Now. This has happened. I've had a million deja vus of this. It ends now. I think I've asked this question before, but maybe not. Carmen Grosso. Does this sound familiar?
It does not.
Thank God. Oh, I think I printed this in a Fury Road and we didn't get to it.
Okay.
I became interested in D&D, blah, blah, blah. Here's my situation. Group was swallowed by a monstro-like creature. Monstro? Do you know who
Monstro is the whale from Pinocchio.
Oh.
He swallows Pinocchio.
Monstro is the name of a monster in what's that game? I can't remember. It's like a shooting
Kingdom
game.
Hearts.
Yeah, well, let's just go with it. Whose body, puzzles, and monsters inside consisted of Italian cuisine. The final boss was a spaghetti monster. The game came to a screeching halt when one of the team decided they wanted to punch the monster into a river of boiling water. They rolled well, but I said that their hand goes through the noodles, but dealt damage. Because the monster wasn't really a physical object that could be punched like a body and more like a blob of loose noodles, I thought they couldn't push the monster. The person argued, stopped the campaign for several minutes, wouldn't listen to my explanation, said I rolled high so I should be able to do what I want. I ended up yelling at him, finished the game. We only played one more time and a less bad taste in people's mouth. Am I wrong for lashing out or interpreting the monster in that way? Or did I not have the goodwill or was not willing to disband belief enough?
So it sounds like this person had a thing they wanted to do.
Right.
They wanted to deal with your monster. They were treating this as a negotiation of how this should be handled, how this should be, how this should happen.
Yes.
If this thing were real.
So that's a misset expectation because they're like, I want to do this thing, which is push him off the cliff.
Yeah.
And then you said something that we're not clear about, right?
Yeah.
Which it sounds like he interpreted to mean if you roll high, you will push him off the cliff. And you might have meant roll and let's see what happens, right?
Yeah. Because I get it. It's like you shove your hands hard and the noodles just give way around like where you've shoved your hands. That makes complete sense to me.
Right.
It's like if you shove your hands into the noodles, if the thing is just a loose, it's like if you shoved your hands into a pile of alive snakes, they would your hands would go into the pile.
Yeah, you couldn't just push a pile of leaves off the cliff in one push. Like you could push a little bit of it. It would be hard.
Or your hands are sunk into it.
Right.
Because that's its thing. If it doesn't have a central core and it's just loose noodles that can move around, then it makes complete sense that you wouldn't be able to just push it off.
Right. So that's world building, but I mean, DM wise, I mean, totally within your realm of, I mean, that's a boss monster. You don't always want to make it possible to push a boss monster to its death in one move. Like, that's fair.
I think this person, if it got to the point, I don't know this person, but I think if it got to the point where you lashed out, that can be hard. It can be hard.
Right. Well, that was a bad outcome.
That was a bad outcome, and I see why it definitely, that's the kind of thing that can leave a bad taste in people's mouths. Sometimes people can feel very attached to their idea and frustrated when it doesn't happen. The best players are ones who can roll with their thing that they thought was going to happen not succeeding. Honestly, I think that's like if I tried to do this and that was what happened, I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. And also, this is funny. This is an interesting thing that happened. If the monster ends up getting killed, then it's not I don't know.
No, so I think that at Apple, they taught us about, dealing with customers and stuff. There's something about assuming a positive intent, which is there's a lot of ways to get mad at people and be like, they should have done this. They're not doing this right. But then you can also just assume positive intent and be like, oh, everyone's trying their best and it's just a comedy of errors that got us all here. And then there's also the concept of setting expectations really clearly. They made it very clear almost any problem that ever existed in the Apple Store was as a result of some misset expectation. Either the customer comes in with the expectation that didn't make sense. Oh, I jizzed on my keyboard and now you guys owe me a free computer. That's their problem. I can't go to their house and say, don't believe crazy things before you come into the store. But that's the problem. And what happened was this is the problem where there's ambiguity, where they thought they could do the thing. And then when they thought that they won, they thought that you kind of pulled the rug out from under them. So that was a situation that was created by ambiguity that going forward, you could be able to clear up more. I would just say, I want to know what he just said, because I would think the best way to do it is like, if you roll like high, we'll see what happens. But then that's what caused the ambiguity. And I don't know how to make that more clear, because I think you want to leave it open and not say, oh, this definitely won't work. You're fucked.
I think that the thing to do would be to try to find a way to give them a success that is not the one they were expecting.
Right, like some of their noodles
or like
off.
You shove your hands deep in and the noodles form around, like just part around your hands, but because you shove them so deep in, you're able to grab deep onto some tangled hunks in deep in the interior, and when you pull your arms back out, you've wrenched out some of the noodles.
You have a meatball.
Yeah. Oh, you find a meatball, and now the thing is like a little bit hurt.
Right.
Like,
oh, yeah. See, that's great.
It's like, he wasn't able to push it in, but he succeeded in a way to, because it's hard if you roll really well and then you're told something doesn't work, because the expectation is that some success, even if it's not the thing you expected.
Yeah, his expectation based on the high result was that he would have some success, and he had what he perceived as the opposite, an abject failure as a result of rolling really high. So that feel bad is what created the blow up. What you said, partial success, is just not something that exists very well in D&D. It exists in other systems, but maybe that's the answer. You do it, but something fucked up. He fell off and he boiled, but now he's a boiled spaghetti monster. There's like, I think what you said is the best thing. It just hurts him somehow, but not the way he wanted.
Yeah. You like, maybe it's it loses. Maybe it's got disadvantage on attack rolls until your next turn, because you've like disrupted its central like net or whatever, maybe, or something.
Dazed or blinded for a turn or something. Who knows?
Something that's not just like an immediate death of your boss monster that's the end of this whole monstro spaghetti encounter.
Right, because that always sucks. Binding of Isaac was the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know. Yeah, whatever. I just think that as a DM, there's a lot of circumstances where there's like narrative ways to kill off a boss or something. And it just always sucks, because it's like, that's not you're not just supposed to be able to say, like, we all grab him at the same time and now we all stab him with one knife or whatever. Like, that technically, like, they killed Caesar or whatever, but it's a game, you know? I don't know.
Actually, the game, the one shot that I'm working on, that I'm running this evening, because it's an evil character as the DM, the whole thing is built such that their characters are not going to stand a chance against the final boss in a straight up fight.
Right.
They have to disrupt the like ruby crystal that this Yeth Hound is being projected. This Yeth Hound made of red light is being projected by, because in a straight up fight they are not going to be able to beat it. So we'll see if they manage to. But I'm gonna be hinting throughout. I'm gonna have it appear as a dim visage of itself early on, and then the closer they get to the crystal, the brighter it is, and
that's cool.
Yeah. So there are monsters early on that are made of red light, and if they find a way to disrupt where they're being projected, for them, I'm gonna try to make it. I'm going to try and make it clear, like, when they attack the thing itself, it's not going to hurt it. Mm-hmm. So they'll quickly look at the other. I hope is that they'll look at the other big thing in the room. The nice thing is this game has insight checks that you can tell everyone to roll an insight check.
Sure.
And if they roll well, you can tell them what they need to know.
Yeah. That sounds cool. I don't know. I was just caught up with the idea if it's a projection. I wonder if it's like depending on the positioning, maybe like they block it, you know, and it's like, oh, wow, it just flickered. Why did that happen or something?
Yeah, I'm wanting to give them a lot of ways to potentially, like, pretty much any good suggestion that involves like disrupting or breaking this crystal somehow, or if one of them has the darkness spell or something.
Nice. That's smart.
Because, sorry, go ahead.
The gem is... I mean, it's a good clue being like some sort of crystally thing, because usually those feel like MacGuffins, you know. So that's a good hook.
And like the tower they are in is the wand that they've been sucked into. So it's like the whole roof is pretty much a big gemstone,
right?
That light is shining through, and like the tower is made of wood, like that. And and it's windowless. They won't. And this is where it'll very clearly be like, you were in the wand the whole time,
right?
So they'll be like, oh, the wand. Maybe they'll be like, oh, the wand. That means that crystal is the gem, and we've heard the gem was the source of its power. So maybe we can, you know.
Maybe.
I worked backwards from the idea that a Yeth Hound. There's a thing in their description in the monster manual that if their master is killed, like a vampire or whatever, they will seek out a new master. So this wand is basically is seeking a new evil master, and it's supposed to be my character is trying to corrupt the other party members' characters. He's like trying to make them like, so that like the stuff leading up to that will be like it'll be like just like in Saw. It's like little things like trying to make them like, oh, there's only four potions, even though there's 5 of you. Who won't get one?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, there's enough to get, will you make a fire resistance potion out of this innocent little fire skink? But
that's cool.
But I'm trying to leave other ways, like, oh, but there's also a blinded kobold who they can free, and he will help them just disable the trap.
I mean, you got a lot of things going, I think it sounds like, huh?
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about it. I'm thinking about, if depending how it plays, I might end up putting this on the old DM's Guild.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a cool candidate. Like the concept is very singular and interesting in a cool, like iconic kind of contentable way, you know?
Yeah, and it's like it's. I think the ideal one shot is one that you could throw in,
right, anywhere.
It's a heist. The heist is ideal, I think, for a one shot because it's cohesive. It's a singular of a thing. It's got a goal, and you either succeed or fail, and then you don't have to explain. Like they're there because they're trying to do a thing that's there, which is get an object and leave.
Every time we record an episode, at the very end of the episode, I was like, I feel like I was supposed to issue some sort of correction or update to something that I got wrong or something. We should just tell people to send us, if you have corrections or omissions, like to send them in the Discord or to the feedback of the Discord or type in feedback or something.
Yeah.
Because I want to address this stuff, because anytime I like look something up and be like, oh, that was wrong, it's like I want to have the right information out there, so not just lying to people. But I fuck up and forget.
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah, it's fine. Anyway, I think that about does it. This is the first part of our season finale.
Yeah.
We should have a proper season 2 sign off, but in the next one, I think.
But wait a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody just walked in.
Kezarak.
No! Cliffhanger.